This is a fake US $100 bill. This is also a fake US $100 bill. Which one is worse?
Every deception has a face, but the face is never the power behind it. You guys, I find that we are in quite an interesting time. It actually is kind of exciting to me because we are getting to see the enemy work in real time if we are spiritually aware. And I say it's exciting. You're like, oh, Keisha, how can you say watching the enemy work is exciting? It's because if we can see him, he's not being as subtle as he hopes to be. He's not getting one up over believers. And we don't get moments like this in history very often because of social media. We are able to, examine people's tones and, their words more carefully and their expressions and all of these things. And it's, if our spiritual eyes are open, it is quite something to see. And right now, because particularly in America, because our education system, our schooling system rather, has been so terrible, and because we've ventured further away from God as a society, other things come in. We're going to go back to the Word of God because that is where we find the truth. And of course, the Bible tells us exactly what we need to watch out for and reminds us of the victory that we have. What's up, everybody? I'm Keisha King Benton, and we are going all in. When people come around and they speak real good, and they're funny and they're charismatic and they maybe have a funny laugh. Maybe they've been, rolling around in the bed with demons and stuff at night and claim to be Christian. And so we have to check and make sure we don't have infiltrators in the camp trying to use the name of God for their personal works of the devil. We don't want to help these people advance the devil's kingdom. Okay. That brings me to Tucker Carlson. We're probably going to be talking about him quite often because I think he is a very dangerous man. And I want to play you this clip to illustrate why I think he is very dangerous by Dr. David Wood, who is a Christian apologist.
This is a fake US $100 bill. This is also a fake US $100 bill. Which one is worse? You might think that this fake bill is worse than this fake bill because this one's more obviously fake. But wouldn't being more obviously fake make it better, not worse? Doesn't the fact that it's easier to spot as a fake and therefore less likely to deceive people make it better, not worse?
Yeah, so I saw that and I thought it was a brilliant explanation of what is happening. But Tucker sits down in his PR promo style interview with a man named Alexander Dugan. Now, if you were like me, now I had heard the name, but I didn't know anything about the man. And he sits down with him, and this man, who is not just a political philosopher, as Tucker would have you to believe, he's a mystic. He is an occultist, a man openly influenced by voices and visions that do not come from the Spirit of God. Okay. But Tucker didn't tell you any of that in his interview. We're going to examine Tucker's opening, how he introduces this man, how he primes his audience to receive this message. And if you do not learn how to discern the spirit behind the speaker, we will fall for it just like Eve every single time. But all of these things are like David Wood said, these are nudges. It's nudging you to veer from God's way. And that is exactly what Tucker Carlson does in this video. It is so subtle, which makes it very demonic. Let's watch.
Alexander Dugin is a 62-year-old Russian academic philosopher. He spent his life in Moscow. He was an anti-Soviet dissident as a young man. And now he is famous the world over, in the English language press anyway, as, quote, Putin's brain. But he is not a political figure here in Russia. He is, once again, a philosopher. And his ideas are deeply offensive to some people. In August of 2022, his only daughter was murdered in Moscow when a car bomb killed her. US intelligence says she was murdered by the Ukrainian government, and we take that at face value. But what's interesting is that, once again, Alexander Dugin is not a military leader. He's not a close daily advisor to Vladimir Putin. He is a writer who writes about big ideas. And for this, his books have been banned by the Biden administration in the United States. You cannot buy them on Amazon, banning books in the United States because the ideas inside are too dangerous. He's often described, again, in the English language press, as far right. We'll let you assess. But we wanted to talk to him about some of his ideas, these ideas that are so dangerous that his only daughter was murdered over them, and his book's been banned in the United States. And so we're happy to have him join us now. Mr. Dugin, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and welcome to Moscow.
Of course, thank you. So we were talking.
So I just wanted to grab the opening. You can go and watch the full interview at your leisure. Let's go to the Word of God and see what God says. In Ephesians 6:12, it says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm." So, as we can see, the Bible clearly tells us we're not wrestling with flesh and blood. The real enemy, the real fight is in the supernatural realm. Now, supernatural. And I think, we get kind of confused when we're we know that something is spiritual, but it's affecting the natural world. So, what is this? How do we, what does this look like? The spirit, the supernatural world, these supernatural entities, they try to influence human beings because they want to use our vessel. We are the vehicle for a spirit. Spirits need bodies. Remember when Jesus went to the Gerasene or the Gadarene, however you say it, and the man who was cutting himself, he came out of the mountain, and he, was like, "We're the legion," and he asked Jesus to cast him into the herd of pigs because they needed a body. It's like we forget. And so when we get to know somebody, and we're watching them on TV, and we feel like we know them, and oh, they're so popular, and look at all these other people. They're it's like a subconscious cosign when you see all these other people who follow the person that you are drawn to. And so it makes you wonder. It's like the Nick Fuentes. You see all the young, like, what's going on over there? Oh, what are they doing? It must be something good. That fear of missing out. I don't want to miss out on what's going on. Also, just want to let you know that he did not press him on any. His questions were very benign. He wants you to walk away thinking that this man is harmless, and all of his questions would make you think that. It's basically the same thing he did with Nick Fuentes. So you can go watch it. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Alexander Dugin and why Tucker is full of it. and this is the enemy working. So here's what Tucker didn't tell you. So in the interview, Tucker, frames him as, someone who he was against the Soviet Union. Well, he was against the Soviet Union like Nick Fuentes is against conservatives. Nick Fuentes is against conservatives because he doesn't feel like we go far enough for him. He doesn't, he wants to, he's like, you're too liberal. You got to go further. You got to come right. He said this in the interview with Candace Owens. I'm trying to push them further. So that's his beef with the conservative movement. He feels like we're not far enough. That is exactly what Alexander Dugin was with the Soviet Union. Okay. He felt like they weren't far enough. That's why he didn't support them. This idea where he wasn't just, he was like not political at all, like totally, like not at all, right? Except he was a part of this extremist group called the Pamyat, and they were ultra nationalists, openly anti-Semitic, conspiratorial, occult oriented, fascinated with Nazism, esoteric fascism, and quote sacred violence, end quote. They weren't fighting the USSR because we were too oppressive. They fought it because it wasn't mythic enough. It wasn't not enough. It wasn't spiritually apocalyptic enough. They saw themselves as knights of an ancient esoteric order, not freedom fighters. Okay. Dugin, he explicitly praises both communists and fascists as Gnostic heroes. So you remember how Ibram X. Kendi would say, like, it's not enough to be not racist, you have to be anti-racist. That's kind of like Dugin and Fuentes. It's like it's not enough to be not for the system. You got to be anti the system. It's the same thing. So I want to leave you guys with these 3 quotes that Tucker didn't bring up, somehow missed, just didn't allude to, since he's such a Christian, because he likes to repeat that over and over and over again. It's part of his rhetoric, it's part of a device. Because within rhetoric, you have devices or tools, language tools that help to get your message across. And one of the tools is I'm a Christian. So since he's so much of a Christian, why wouldn't he bring up any of this, that this man has, has some occult leanings, some mystical things, none of that. But let's just listen to what he said. So he says, so there's this thing called the left hand path and the right hand path, and it's basically like witchcraft. So quote, this path, this is what he's suggesting. This path is monstrously difficult, but it is the only true one. He who takes this path will gain fame and immortality. He who survives it will prevail and receive an award that is higher than being. This almost sounds like Muslims. This instantly kind of exposes its incongruentness with Christianity. Okay. Let's see. He also said, quote, the threads of ancient knowledge stretch to Marx, Nietzsche, Lenin, Stalin, Mao, and Che Guevara. Others, Nietzsche, Heidegger, Ebola, Hitler, and Mussolini draped the Gnostic will in national racial teachings, end quote. So he's saying in his own words that the communists and the Nazis share the same revolutionary mission. I wonder why Tucker never revealed this. He's so anti-left, right? Why wouldn't he share? Why wouldn't he expose it? This guy he thinks that all of these people, are of the same thinking, because they are. Here's another one. Quote, all reality is perceived as hell, as ontological exile, as torture. The dungeon of matter will collapse and be transformed into a heavenly city. A chain of initiates passionately prepares the desired moment. the moment of the end, end quote. This is an apocalyptic Gnosticism. Not Christianity, it's not conservatism, and it's not traditionalism, okay? He believes the world must collapse so a new civilization can be birthed. This is the spirit of revolution. It is this is the same as the Marxists, the communists. Same thing. I'm going to destroy what is there and rain on top of the ashes to build the new thing. I'm going to make the new man, all y'all know. So Dugan, he sees the world as a collapsing hell. And instead of pointing people away from it, he basically celebrates it and says, this is the way. This is the way that we should go. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be good. Like, let's go all wicked. It's going to be the best. That's who Tucker was talking to. It didn't even bother to go into any of, his ideas. Be very careful. Do not be deceived. I think that demon that came and was rolling around in the bed with him that night, I think they're still yoked up together. Let me know what you think about what I think in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing from you. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.